Hello there, welcome to Venture Capital. I'm Katie Bilby. This week, of course, the US drama continued to play out, the soap opera. But let's not concentrate on all of that, because I'm sure you've been inundated and maybe perhaps rather sick of it all. So we're going to get across the Atlantic and talk about the proud Emerald Island. That is, of course, Ireland, which looks like it's ready to stand alone. According to Prime Minister Edna Kenny, Ireland will become the first Eurozone country to exit an international bailout. Mr Kenny said that the era of the bailout will be no more after announcing plans to withdraw from the IMF EU support by the end of this year. Although Mr Kenny did warn that the country's financial troubles are not over. So just to remind you, back in 2010, Ireland was forced to take an €85 billion bailout after the country's biggest banks collapsed. But fast forward to 2013, and it's not just Ireland's leader that is optimistic, but in July, ratings agency Standard & Poor's upgraded Ireland's credit outlook from stable to positive because the country's debts were falling faster than expected. So let's get some analysis right now with Irish economist David McWilliams in Dublin. So, David, good news for Ireland then?
Well, it's neither too soon nor a particularly good thing, not least because exiting the IMF EU Troika bailout is regarded by the state, or at least advertised and marketed by the state, as being the sort of end of the crisis. But we will still be borrowing substantial amounts of money next year. The growth rate of the economy hasn't increased in any material way. And ultimately, exiting the bailout is you only end up paying hedge funds by borrowing from pension funds. I mean, that's what it means in proper English, in clear English. So my sense is that what we have is a situation whereby in the last 3 years, the Irish government had the opportunity to change the growth potential of the country, to address some internal problems that we have with respect to guilds and vested interests and trade union movements, but ultimately did nothing. So, you know, to repeat that great expression, the Irish establishment never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity, and here's been one. And so what we go back and issue bonds to pension funds and to investors in London, but it's hardly a sign of success.
What would you say, though, about the fact that Ireland, on the face of it, looks to be in a much better situation than the likes of Portugal, Cyprus, Greece? Would you say so? What's Ireland doing?
I mean, it's a very, very different economy to Portugal or Cyprus or Greece, in the sense that we have some parts of the economy which are probably the most productive in Europe, if not in most of the developed world. So I don't think it's fair to compare us to the others and say we're doing well. I mean, my matrix for doing well, I don't know about yours, is employment, is income, is emigration, is the lives of ordinary people. And the lives of ordinary people have been totally affected negatively by the last couple of years. And what we find rather bizarre is that the bond market, which is largely dancing to Mr. Draghi's tune, and as long as he promises to do whatever it takes to save the euro, bond yields will remain low all around the periphery of Europe. They are trumpeting a great success. We who live in the country, have children in the country, have relations in the country who work here, see a very, very different picture, one where domestic demand is entirely flat, one where people's incomes are falling after tax, not rising, and one where all sorts of what we would have regarded as normal social services are being cut. So again, you know, if success is that my daughter's teachers are being forced, let's say, to work long hours in order to pay somebody in America who's managed to speculate on our bond market, then yeah. But that doesn't seem to me to be success.
And certainly nothing to get excited about then, no?
No. I think come and live amongst us, and then you'll see what the economy is really doing internally, as opposed to reading marketing reports from investment banks.
All right, thank you, David McWilliams there, speaking to us from Dublin. Now, someone that knows all about Ireland is RT's news editor just here, Ivor Crotty.
Hi,
hello,
Katie.
you. I had to get you in because obviously you're Irish
Sure.
and you know what's going on. What is going on? Do you agree with David then?
Yes, I do. I think David's talked a lot of sense there. What you see on what you read in the newspapers does not reflect the reality of the ground of people who are living there. Let's take public transport in Ireland, for example. Headlines in the Irish Times will tell you that fares for Dublin commuters are going up 10%. And you might think, all right, well, you know, that's not terribly bad. But what David also said was that there was a huge failure on the government to rein in some of the unions. Yeah. So the public infrastructure is affected by strikes on the one hand. What you don't know and what you don't see is that the average length of a commuter train, it's called the DART, that brings commuters in and out of Dublin, the average length has been reduced. So commuters are being squashed. Right. Yeah? Into smaller trains.
Right.
And they're being asked to pay more. Yeah, so the squeeze is coming from all sides. Yeah, this is what you don't see in market reports or as David mentioned.
Because I mean, I'm focusing on the data because the data is reasonably optimistic, and I said about the Prime Minister's comments this week about coming away from this international bailout package fund. That, to me, that seems positive, though, because they're going to stand on their own. They're going to be independent, no longer reliant on international help. Am I reading this wrong or what?
I think in the to use the cliche, he would say that, wouldn't he? Enda Kenny's a Prime Minister who's on the back foot. He's just suffered a humiliating defeat in a referendum where he tried to abolish the upper house of the Irish Parliament. This would have reduced the number of checks and balances, obviously, in the political system. I think the Irish people have been asked to pick up a pretty heavy burden. OK, we'll leave it there. I want to chat to you all day about this, but I can't. But Ivor Crotty, thank you so much indeed for your insight there. A little bit of Irish charm here on Venture Capital today. Thank you there. Switzerland is famous for its clocks, its cheese, its banking secrecy, and well, most importantly, in my view, it's chocolate, of course. The world's largest offshore wealth centre, Switzerland, it's signed an agreement convention with the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, otherwise known as the OECD. Now, the agreement means sharing banking information with dozens of other countries. So I'm now joined by Hans Kaufmann, Swiss politician and economist, for more information on this particular topic. Do you think that this is a good thing for the global economy? Do you think that this is more transparent, less kind of black market shadow activities going on? Do you see this as a positive move?
No, I'm still very much in favor of privacy. Privacy has not necessarily to do with tax evasion, because when we introduced the banking secrecy between the two world wars, we immediately also introduced the world highest withholding tax of 35%. So in Switzerland, you cannot really cheat taxes on income from bonds or shares because 35% of all these revenues are directly going to the state. But the problem is that you have foreign instruments from the EU, from the United States, where you do not have withholding taxes. That's the problem. So one could also have solved the problem by introducing globally substantial withholding tax.
Do you think, as far as Switzerland's economy is concerned, it could be a bad thing, a negative impact?
It can have an impact because we currently are saying goodbye to another 100,000 to 200,000 foreign customers. Especially US customers are not accepted any longer with most Swiss banks. I fear that we will lose maybe 2 billion in revenues.
Hans Kaufmann there, thank you for your time. Time for corporate news now then, and it's not just Russia's football team that's going to be making its way to Brazil, but also a Russian pharmaceutical company. The St. Petersburg-based BioCAD pharmaceutical company will open a $40 million facility to produce generic versions of a cancer-fighting drug and 2 other medicines in the south of Brazil, taking advantage of Brazil boosting its spending on medicine for public health programs. And host of Russia will hold an IPO in the next 3 to 5 years. The Communications Minister made the announcement on his Twitter after shares in the UK's Royal Mail jumped almost 38% on the first day of trading on the London Stock Exchange. And legal metals dispute. A Swiss court has ordered a Tajik aluminium company, Talco, to pay Rusal's subsidiary, Hammer Investing Limited, a $275 million legal fee. The court backed Hammer's claim that the Tajik company had breached supply agreements made in 2003. Okay, it's that time of the show. We're going to speak to Mr. Sean Thomas, our in-house investor, and see what he's been up to. Now, you're in Arizona, but I'm really impressed with your dedication, Sean. I like it. You're away on holiday and you're still trading. That's impressive.
Well, actually, away on business, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning here in Phoenix, Arizona, but that's not going to stop me. I am dedicated to venture capital, and you know what? You got to make some money. I have to break even, so I'm going to keep on working until I make that happen.
Oh, that is the attitude. We like it. So how are you doing that then? How are you putting that into practice?
Well, the good news is I'm up over a bit. Let me tell you, I mean up, not over. But let me tell you how this happened. Last week, if you remember, I stayed 3 quarters in financials, and that's Spearbank specifically. Going gangbusters. It went up 1% again for a 3rd straight week in a row. And so I made money. The bad news is that diamonds, remember, they're sparkly, they're shiny.
Yes, they're
I decided
fabulous.
to go for I know, right? But they didn't do me any good. So I'm going to have to dump the diamonds because they traded flat, didn't make any money on them. So overall, my portfolio is up. I made $85 this week to a grand total of $9,975. $25 shy of the big 10,000 to break even, so I need to keep at it.
Yes, you do. Well done. Okay, so you made it, but you're not quite there yet, are you? You're not over that 10K. What's up your sleeve? Arizona luck, maybe? What have you got planned?
Right, Arizona luck. And in fact, this is unfortunately the Diamondback state. They're here. I'm going to have to dump the diamonds. I'm going to go all in financials. It may seem boring, but 3 weeks in a row, gaining 1% each week, I can't deny that logic. So I'm going to go all in with Spearbank to see if I can at least break that 10,000 mark. Because if I do, if you remember, we have a deal.
We do have a deal.
Right,
yes.
I'm going to bring you some chocolate from the United States if I actually break even, but that's what's going to have to happen.
Right, okay. So I get my chocolate if you break even. Perfect. Right. I've got your British chocolate in the business room waiting for you all the way back from London. So I've done my part of the deal. All right, Sean, well, best of luck. I'm not so sure how I feel about this dumping the diamonds lark, but I'll trust you. We're going to go with the financials. All right, have a good time in Arizona. Play hard, work hard. That is what we like on venture capital. Mr. Sean Thomas, our in-house investor, right there, succeeding this week. Well, my time is up. That's today's show done and dusted. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I certainly have. And I really hope you come back next week. Goodbye.